Hi, I'm Rosie. Welcome to my podcast called Yoga Pose. I'm Yoga Pose. My family used to call me Rosie Pose. And I feel like their nickname made me destined to become a yoga teacher. These episodes are a chance for me to share more of myself and my journey, as well as the benefits of yoga and meditation as I see them. So expect stories, sutras, and jokes, because I think I'm pretty funny and laughing is going to help us loosen up. Yoga isn't a game, but there's no reason we can't play. So being playful stops us striving, and we become explorers simply for the pleasure of it. This episode is called Sleep, and I think it's one of the most underrated aspects of our life. I have no doubt that some of you listening would have spent money having nutritional advice or getting a workout designed perfectly for your biomechanics, having employed a personal trainer. But how many of you have really looked and assessed your sleep patterns? So the Guinness Book of World Records has stopped recognising attempts to break sleep deprivation. So just consider this. They think it's acceptable for Felix Baumgartner to ascend 128,000 feet into the outer reaches of our atmosphere in a hot air balloon, whilst wearing a spacesuit, and then open the door of his capsule, stand atop a ladder which has been suspended above the planet, and then just freefall back down to Earth at top speed of 843 miles an hour, passing through the sound barrier and creating a sonic boom with just his body. So that is acceptable, but the risks associated with sleep deprivation are considered to be far, far higher. Now you're interested in sleep, right? So sleep helps us remember. Experiments have been conducted on university students who were asked to remember a long list of words. Half of the group were able to spend the rest of the day reading and relaxing, while the other half were asked to have a nap. I know which half I would have rather been in. Whilst both groups were retested in the evening, the group that had a nap performed better in the test. So even if you're spending nice time doing relaxing things, nothing beats the learning power of sleep. For some of you, this isn't groundbreaking news, all right? You'll have had a late night and gone to work the next day, and maybe you found yourself struggling to find the words to articulate yourself. The experiment was run again with a little change. This is where it gets super interesting. The students were asked to recall a long list of words, but before each word was a green R for remember, or a red F for forget. Again, half the group got to chill, the other half took a nap. When they came to be retested in the evening, the experimenters said, the green R and the red F for forget, don't worry about that. We're going to pay you for each word you remember, okay? And that was done to take out any bias. Interestingly, the group that had a nap remembered the words they were meant to and genuinely forgot most of the others. So sleep helps us remember and improve our performance, but it also helps us to forget. In sleep, we can delete stored information we no longer need, which lowers brain resources so we can access memories we do need. As kids, we would have memorized a few of our friends' landlines. Now my friends neither have landlines or numbers that I need to remember because it's all stored in my phone. So that leaves my brain room to recall all the interesting things I read or places I visit. Or when I'm with my friends and they're talking about an interview they've got next week, well, I can remember that now. I've got that free space. I won't be able to tell you the date of that interview 6 months later because my brain would have deleted that temporary file. As a little aside, If there's an emotion attached to an event, then it's likely to lodge in the long-term memory vaults. Like I can remember where I was when I heard about 9/11. I'd got off the school bus, like I did most days for many years, and my dad was out buying a tennis racket. I'd finally convinced him to play. So as I walked from the bus stop home, some kids in front of me were talking about something that had happened in America. And when I got in, I turned on the news to see the horrendous scenes of the planes colliding with the Twin Towers. I was terrified. I stood there frozen. And I saw the people on the news were really struggling to relay what was happening. And there were those awful, blurry videos of people running through New York streets covered in ash and dust. And as I stood there freaking out, wondering what it's like for those people, the ones that had died and those that had survived, that memory had such a strong emotional response that it stayed with me all those years. And sleep can help me process those intense emotions. So in 2018, I can think back to those events, but not revisit the physiological responses I had in those moments. So here I picked a global trauma as an example, but we all have personal traumas, whether, that's something simple like putting your foot in it with a friend or something much more challenging. Sleep is the state we must enter in order to fix what's upset us during the day. I feel like we're all pretty sleep deprived, we wake up early to fit in a gym workout before the day job, or I know some people work shifts, or maybe you stay up late watching TV and socialising, maximising your leisure time, or just because you're too wired to sleep, having medicated during the day with caffeine and sugar. What this means is that we acclimatise to a low baseline. We need 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. Do you get that? Do you get those 8 to 10 hours every night? Do you have a regular bedtime? And if not, why not? Why aren't you prioritising a routine? Any parent will tell you the devastating impact of a poor routine is like the first thing they try to get their child into. Our baseline has shifted so much that we've adapted. We now feel like we run, very well on 6 hours of broken sleep a night or whatever it is. In the book called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, he describes it as like asking a very drunk person if they've had too much to drink or are they still fit to drive home. They're in no fit state to be able to tell you what's going on. A side effect of yoga and meditation, as you will know, is that you're going to sleep better. And I hear it all the time from students. So the weekly classes you do has you feeling great on the day, but also the next day, where you're less likely to experience food cravings and consume caffeine in the morning and reach for alcohol or other depressants in the evening to help you relax. You've got to look at the value of classes and see that as extending way beyond your yoga mat. If you feel like you need a complete reset, or if you're in quite a good routine but want to immerse yourself in yoga and meditation, join me on a retreat. These are powerful little weekends where you possibly realise you're like that drunk, unable to make decisions from that place of inebriation. Once you've had a good few nights of rest, you'll find your creativity returns. You'll pick up a book and maybe you'll even read it. You'll probably get clarity and insight into areas of your life that aren't serving you. Big claims, I know. But I was on retreat when it hit me just how burned out I was. That was like 5 years ago, and look where it's led me to. No longer am I sleep deprived, yawning all the time, falling asleep on my commute, and drinking 5 Americanos a day. I don't need the caffeine now. I am fully awake. My retreat schedule is on my website, doyourownthing.co.uk. And before I leave you, let me add that if you take one thing from this episode, let it be to make a regular bedtime your top priority. Thank you so much for listening, if indeed you still are. You can visit doyourownthing.co.uk to see my teaching timetable, workshops, and retreats. I would love to connect with you in person. This podcast is about building a community, so keep reaching out to me. Do Your Own Thing is my Instagram handle and Facebook page. Before you go, think about your karma, okay? You've enjoyed this episode, hopefully as much as I've enjoyed making it for you. So help a yogini out by sharing and leaving a review. I read every single comment and they inspire me so much. I'm not kidding, please leave a review. Don't make me sell out and get sponsorship and do adverts. Thank you so much for listening to Yoga Pose.